Positive Futures Dog Training and Behavior. Today we're going to talk about how to teach your dog to pivot. So the first thing that your dog needs to learn is understand how to put their paws up on an object. We need their front 2 feet to be able to sit on an elevated object. This is a rubber food pan that is good for pivoting and for paws up. If you don't have one of these at home, the criteria is that the dog has traction when they stand on the surface and that it's not too high off the ground. We don't want to put too much pressure on that rear. We're really just wanting to isolate rear end movement. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get him away from me for just a moment, and I'm gonna put my pan on the ground. Paws up, good job. I click and treat the dog for putting their 2 front feet up on the object. And as long as those feet stay there, we will keep clicking and treating. Now what we're gonna start to do is turn our body weight and click and treat any rear foot motion. Nice. Wanna make sure that we do it both ways. Good boy. Your dog is gonna try to center up with you again because they're used to all training happening while they're in front. So what I'm doing by shifting my body weight, I start to put a little bit of pressure on that rear and I start to change where I am squared off, and they will start to turn to face us instead. Good job, buddy. Now, off, sit, good boy. This is a workout for them. We are putting more weight on the rear legs and we're asking them to isolate that movement from side to side. So it is physically straining on them. So we do want to make sure that we keep sessions short and we don't do too many reps in one day. Generally, I'll work this exercise for 2 to 3 minutes at a time. And once my dog is really good at it and can spin in a whole circle, we'll do 3 rotations each direction, and then that's it. We don't want to overdo it with them. Make sure that you have a really high rate of reinforcement. He knows how to move his rear legs. He has good body awareness. If your dog does not, you can start by clicking and treating a foot motion, even as slight as that, a little bit of a toe lift, or just a slide, even if it's an accident, because once we start to reinforce our dogs for moving that rear end, they're gonna figure out, oh, that's what you want, and the motion's gonna get easier and easier for your dog. All right, so one more time, paws up, good boy, oops. Then paws up, good. And as I turn my body, I click and treat his rear end movement. Nice, good. As your dog gets more comfortable with this, you can ask them to take more steps between each click and treat. Very nice. Till eventually, Lennon, off, sit. Till eventually they can rotate in a whole circle before you give them that treat. This exercise is really good for strengthening of the rear end. It's also great for body awareness or proprioception. If the dog knows where their rear end is, they're actually less likely to injure themselves during sports. It's also a great sports warm-up. If you're gonna be doing some running, get those rear end muscles targeted and warm by doing this pivoting exercise before you start canicross or obedience training. This is also a great skill if you're planning on doing any rally or obedience classes, because if they can pivot, you're gonna get some really nice turns during your healing pattern. All right, so go ahead and find an object that you plan on working with. Criteria is low to the ground and has traction. Make sure if you're working on hardwoods, you set up some yoga mats or some rugs or runners so that your dog has traction on their rear end as well. We don't want them slipping. Go ahead and grab your clicker and treats, and you are ready to start teaching your dog how to pivot. Happy clicking.